Okay, M1, it started off basic. Just go and cop the M2 Mac Mini, it's so elated. But ain't it kinda similar, but distant cousins, they related. Man, it's not the same, M2 is here, game elevated. I say, listen, let's get into this story. Cause Tim is out here cooking, give roses and all the glory. See, it's $5.99, price the same, I have no quarries. Let's get into this video and I'll explain this inventory. Squad! Room 21.
What up, YouTube family? So today, man, I want to talk to you guys about the M2 Mac Mini that I got right here beside me. Now, if you guys are new here and you don't know, I am a huge fan of the Apple silicone chips when the M1 Mac Mini first came out. Actually, I have the M1 Mac Mini right here. Now, this was literally the machine, y'all, that I rocked for literally a whole year every single day until I actually started to see that my workflow required a little bit more horsepower underneath the hood, being that I am working with like these high tax and file sizes like 4K video when I'm filming these videos right here, as well as working in Final Cut Pro with multiple timelines, as well as using multicam, which for those of you guys out there that have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, and you're probably sitting there right now, you're like, CKid, you're losing me, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Let me break it down. Basically, is when I'm able to run two 4K cameras at the same time that you guys are seeing right here, and I'm able to cut back and forth between both of them like you're seeing right here. And just so you guys know, I did edit this entire video right here on the M2 Mac Mini base model, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gig of storage, and I have a lot to say in regards to my experience. But before I give you guys my thoughts on that, I want to actually go back a little bit so that way you guys can understand the power that I personally need and why I'm even looking to upgrade to the M2 Mac Mini over the M1 Mac Mini in the first place, and why I personally think that you guys should consider it as well, so that way you guys can make the best informed decision when you guys are thinking about buying. Now, in order for you guys to be able to process large video file sizes like that, you will need to have pretty powerful internals on your computer, which is why I upgraded to the M1 Max MacBook Pro that you guys are seeing right here, which I can't front has been a beast of a machine for me within my setup. But the downside to it is I always felt like having it in my setup is more of a workaround and not really like a permanent desktop-like experience that I've been looking for or a solution. Now, I've even noticed a little throttling even with this MacBook Pro that's right here behind me due to not really having a large body for proper cooling. But there are three reasons why I keep going back to the Mac Mini that I'm actually going to dive a little deeper into in this video right here. Now, the first reason is the size of it, right? As you guys can see right here, like the size of it within my setup hardly takes up any space. And number two, it's the amount of power and performance that you guys are getting out of such a tiny built machine. And it's pretty impressive if you ask me. And number three is the main one. And for me, I think it's the main reason why anybody's going to consider these. And that has to be the price and the cost. Like being able to get into a M2 level chip and jump into the Apple ecosystem for only $599, y'all. I mean, it's impressive. Now think about it like this in comparison. If you were to build a PC right now, which I'm personally gonna be building a PC that I talked about in my last video, but just buying the Intel i9 processor is $600 by itself for just the processor. But Apple was like, nah, homie, we got you. Just give us the $600 and we're gonna get you a fully powerful working computer that can honestly beat out 90% of the competition that's out there, I feel. Now, real quick before we actually continue, I started a group chat that I wanna tell you guys about that all you have to do is text room 21 as well as the number that's right here on the screen, and you guys are in there. Now, I'm not gonna actually be spamming you guys with a bunch of text messages because to be honest with you, like I said, I don't have that kind of time, but it is where you guys will be notified of things like giveaways that I'm gonna be doing here on the channel, unreleased tech raps before they actually hit the channel, like the one that I actually did in the intro of this video. Yeah, the people that was over there, they got a chance to see it first before it even dropped here on the channel. So, you know, that's one of the perks there. Also, it's just a place where you're gonna be notified right away when new videos drop, so that way you guys can go crazy in the comments. You can hit that like button first. You can do all of the dope stuff that you can do here on the channel, as well as merch drops, future wallpaper packs that I plan on doing this year. And just overall, I'm building out a community of people that rock with the content and they like what I do. And you kind of want that more exclusive type of stuff that I'm gonna be only sharing within that text message group. So definitely definitely make sure you guys check that out. I'll have it right up here on the screen. Text that number, type in room 21, and just like that, man, you guys are in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get back. Now, I want to actually start off talking about my thoughts on using this machine here with just like editing videos, as well as including this one right here, browsing the web, Photoshop work, Lightroom work that I've done on here for the thumbnail and creation of all of that, as well as checking and responding to emails, watching movies, TV shows. Like, speaking of which, that Last of Us on HBO Max right now, absolutely chef kiss, y'all. I'm telling you, it is fire. As well as I was listening to some music on here, watching YouTube videos, all of that, pretty much anything that you guys need to do on a computer, I've pushed this thing to the max, y'all, and then some. So, and if I'm being honest with you guys, and I'm not on some fanboy type stuff at all, although I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am an Apple person. I love Apple products, which they are not perfect with everything, and I can admit that, but I feel like with this machine here, it is a great machine, and it was actually able to handle everything that I threw at it. Now, I gotta be real and transparent with you guys. At the same time, there are some drawbacks that I want you guys to consider before you actually consider buying a machine like this. Now, the first thing is, if you guys are looking at buying a machine like this, and you guys are a content creator, and you plan on doing video editing, photo editing, all that kind of stuff like that, because I do wanna break this video down into two different parts. I wanna talk about it from the side of the person who needs a lot, like me, who needs to do the crazy video editing, photo editing, all that kind of stuff like that. And then also I want to talk about the everyday casual computer user who really don't need all of that. You don't need all of the crazy horsepower. I'm going to break it down on both sides. So let's go ahead and start off with the heavy workflow content creator like myself. Now, there's two things that I need for you guys to consider when buying this machine if you guys are looking at being a content creator. Number one, do not go with the 8GB RAM option. Now, I would say bare minimum, get the 16GB RAM option for sure. Now, this is gonna last you guys much longer, because when you get into those creative applications and you're running multiple labor-intensive applications like Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, Lightroom, and all that kind of stuff like that, that requires a lot, 8GB of RAM is just not it. I felt like it began to reach that pretty quickly when I had multiple applications open at the same time. But on the flip side to that, let's say if you somebody out there that you just want a machine to be able to browse the web, watch YouTube videos, watch that Last of Us content on HBO, again, not sponsored, as well as some Netflix, or even just checking and responding to emails, all of kind of like the basic needs, then I personally think 8GB is perfect for anybody like that, and it's gonna run like a champ. But my creative people out there, or inspiring creators out there, look, 16GB are up, champ. We don't want to see none less. Now, the second thing I need you guys to consider, and it's actually something that I recently just discovered and is very important, and that is what Apple has done with the internal storage. The raw speeds of Apple's internal SSD storage, y'all, is lightning fast. Now, I recommend you guys at least, bare minimum, upgrade from the 256GB internal storage to the 1TB option. But if you got the money, and I'm only talking to my creative people out there, people that's gonna be very labor intensive with their machine, get the 2TB or the 4TB options. I feel like that is the sweet spot right there. Now, the reason being is because let's say if you're editing in Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, and you having your video files on something that has crazy fast read and write speeds, I'm telling you, y'all, it is clutch. See, in the past, and sometimes I still actually edit off of like my Samsung T5 or T7 SSD drives, and don't get me wrong, these bad boys are great. But when you guys are working with multicam clips and you're working with 4K video files, or even if you guys are programming anything like that, like I explained in the beginning of this video, then you guys are going to begin to see that the speeds are not the same on these Samsung T5 or external drives here versus what Apple actually has within their internal SSD storage. And you will begin to have performance issues. That's not necessarily an issue on the machine or anything like that, but instead you're using slower read and write speeds that can slow down your workflow versus the internal storage speeds that Apple has, which is just crazy fast. So to have the space and how to read and write speeds for those large files, I personally recommend getting at least 1TB. But if you can stretch the budget to more, to the 2 or to the 4TB option, that is the sweet spot, man. But if you ballin', and I'm talking you ballin', then go ahead, man, and leap into that champ status of 8TB and, you know, get everything you want. But you're probably sitting out there like, CKid, I don't do all the professional editing like you do. Is the 256GB option okay to get away with? Now, I'm gonna say this. If you guys want to actually keep the cost low just to get into the ecosystem and get the computer, trust me, by all means, that's fine. You don't have to spend all of that kind of money, right? But in today's world, I want you guys to be aware of something. Some of these programs, as well as the application file sizes, are getting a lot larger these days. So that 256 that you wanted to save money on could fill up pretty quickly. Even if I wasn't a professional editor or content creator like I am, I still would go minimum 1 terabyte as all you guys are gonna need, because I think 2 or 4 terabyte in that space would be overkill if you ask me. Now, if you guys want or need more storage, then I would personally recommend this product right here that I've been using. Look, I got a little, I've been using it, y'all, so it's a little scuffed up, but I've been using this, guys, with my M1 Mac Mini for a while, and I told you guys about it during those videos, and I still swear by this thing. Now, it is a device that sits right on top or underneath your M2 or M1 Mac Mini, and it connects right up using a Thunderbolt cable port on the back or USB-C cable on the back, and you can get SATA SSD that's gonna go right inside of the middle here, and that's gonna give you guys more storage on your system to be able to get, and it's gonna be much cheaper than paying what Apple's gonna charge you for the internal storage. Now, keep in mind, the speeds are not the same, but again, if you're not a professional editor and different things like that, you can save some money and still get that amount of storage. But honestly, y'all, those are mainly the 2 things that I would consider when buying this machine right here, whether you guys are just a person who likes to browse the internet, or you're like me and you're a heavy content creator, a heavy user, then those are the 2 things that I would look out for. Now, this next part that I want to actually get into are the 3 things that actually keeps me going back to the Mac Mini in the first place. So the first thing I want to talk about, and that is just the overall size of this machine, y'all. The size of this, man, is something that I've always loved when it comes to the Mac Mini lineups, because I've always felt that the size of it is just big enough for the proper cooling, as well as getting all of the I/O ports that you guys need here on the back of them for the average user. Now, I'm not gonna say you're not getting all of the ports that I personally would like, but I gotta give Apple credit. They did give us to us on the M2 Pro Mac Mini that I have over here that I'm gonna be talking about and covering in the next video, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But the M2 Mac Mini, y'all, is also small enough to have on your desktop that you can see right here without taking up a chunk of space, keeping your entire setup looking seamless and just looking clean overall. Now, keep in mind, y'all, when you guys are buying a Mac Mini, it is not coming with a screen like you guys see right here. It's not coming with a keyboard or a mouse or anything like that. So you will have to buy all of that stuff separately, and I am going to do a video where I'm going to be giving you guys some recommendations and different things that you can buy to pair well with your Mac Mini that's not going to break the bank. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well, which I'm not going to lie, depending on your setup, and what you guys kind of buy, it can add up. But if I'm being real, most of you guys out there probably already have a monitor. You probably already have a keyboard as well as a mouse that you can start with that's just kind of been laying around the house. And just like that, you can get started within your setup for $600-700, keeping that cost down. Now, number 2 is the amount of power and performance that you guys get out of this machine in regards to value for the dollar is insane. The fact that I can get a more powerful chip that can handle literally all of my workflows, video editing, photo editing, and stuff like that without any hiccups is a huge W to me, y'all. As well as number 3, which is the last thing, and I honestly feel like it's the main reason why a lot of people are going to look at this machine. Listen, $599 for a computer with this much power as well as the performance and next gen chip is kind of crazy if you think about it. And the fact that Apple is not raising the prices on these machines, even though if we're just gonna be honest with you, we all know it is more powerful than the M1 machine that I got right here. And Apple could have at least increased it by $100, and they didn't. So, I mean, come on, y'all. We gotta give Tim his credit over there, y'all. They cooking up something crazy and allowing people to have a computer within their homes without breaking the bank. See, the Apple ecosystem, to me, which I personally think we all can agree, is the strongest ecosystem in the tech space. And I mean, let's be honest, most of these companies out here began creating tech ecosystems amongst their products because they actually saw how successful Apple was with it, and so they decided to follow suit because they saw how you can push, as well as encourage people like myself to want to buy other products within their ecosystem something like AirPods or an iPad or an iPhone or whatever you guys want within their ecosystem, it makes sense because it works together and it's genius. And I feel like Apple has done a really good job at it and perfected it if you ask me. Like how good Apple products work across their products is impressive, and the fact that you guys can get into that ecosystem for only $599 is so dope to me. And on top of that, it's even cheaper or the same price of buying an iPhone, and is the main reason I can't actually leave the Mac Mini world, because with those three things, it makes it the best computer to buy in regards to value for the money for what you guys are getting. So trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Okay, M1, it started off basic. Just go and cop the M2 Mac Mini, it's so elated. But ain't it kinda